Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real English Voices. I'm Tom.
And I'm Ria. And Tom, I have a feeling we're diving into one of the most common, but often trickiest areas of everyday English conversation today.
We absolutely are, Ria. Today, we're talking about the weekend, but more specifically, we're going to master how to talk about your weekend using past tense storytelling. It sounds simple, right? But it's where many English learners get stuck.
Oh, it's the classic English learner trap. You feel confident talking about the present or the future, but as soon as someone says, "So, what did you do this weekend?" suddenly your brain just freezes. You know the perfect response in your native language, but the verbs, the tenses, it all just turns into a grammatical mess.
Exactly. And the thing is, how is your weekend isn't just a question. It's the bridge to almost every casual, friendly conversation on a Monday morning. It's a chance to connect, to share a piece of your life. And if you can tell that story well, confidently, and naturally, it changes everything.
It's true. It's not about perfect grammar. It's about connecting. So let's start at the beginning, Tom. The past simple, the foundation of all weekend talk.
The absolute foundation. When you are describing a finished action at a finished time, the past simple is your best friend. For example, I went to the park, or she watched a movie. The key is those irregular verbs. They are the boogeymen of English.
Oh, the irregular verbs. They don't follow the rules, they just are. Go becomes went, eat becomes ate, see becomes saw, and you just have to memorize them. There's no easy way around it. It's a bit like learning the names of all your new in-laws. It takes time and repetition.
That's a brilliant analogy. And the thing is, even native speakers forget some of the really obscure ones sometimes. But for the weekend, you only need about 10 or 15 core irregular verbs to cover 90% of your stories. Think about them. Had, did, saw, ate, went, read, met, slept.
Let's try to build a little story right now. Tom, what was one fun thing you did last weekend? Use the past simple.
Okay, let me think. Last Saturday, I met a friend downtown. We walked around the old market, and then we ate a huge, messy burger at a new restaurant. I felt really full afterwards. Simple, direct, and every verb is in the past. Met, walked, ate, felt.
Perfect. And noticed how Tom smoothly connected those actions. He didn't just list them. I met friend, we walk market, we eat burger. That sounds robotic. He used simple transition words. And then, afterwards. These are little verbal glue sticks.
That's so important. The flow matters just as much as the tense. You need to create a narrative, not just a fact sheet. Think of yourself as a storyteller, not a grammarian.
And now let's bring in the second essential tense, the past continuous. Because our weekend wasn't just a series of quick, finished actions. Sometimes we want to talk about the atmosphere, what was happening around the time of the main action.
The past continuous helps paint the scene. It describes an action that was ongoing, a longer action that was interrupted, or two actions happening at the same time. The structure is was, were, plus verb, plus ing.
For example, you could say, while I was driving to the coast on Sunday morning, the sun was shining beautifully. You're not saying you finished the action of driving. You're setting the scene. It was in progress.
Or you can use it to talk about an interruption. I was reading my book on the couch when my neighbor suddenly called me. Was reading is the longer action, and called is the quick, finished action that broke the moment. That's a classic way to use the past continuous.
I think this is where many learners hesitate. They feel like they should only use the simple past, but using the continuous adds so much richness and naturalness. It makes your listener feel like they were there.
It absolutely does. Imagine you're telling a story about a bad rainstorm. You wouldn't just say, it rained. You'd say, the wind was howling, and the rain was pounding against the window while I was trying to make a cup of tea. Immediately, it's more dramatic, more engaging.
So, let's mix the two tenses together. Tom, tell me about a relaxed part of your weekend using both past simple and past continuous.
Okay? On Sunday afternoon, I was sitting in my garden, just enjoying the quiet. I was listening to an old jazz album. It was so peaceful. Then, my dog suddenly ran through the flower beds and brought me a muddy stick. He interrupted my quiet moment.
Beautifully done. Was sitting, was listening, setting the scene, ran, brought, the simple past, the finished action that interrupted. See, listeners, you are painting with words. You're using two different grammatical colors to make your picture more vibrant.
And this leads us to the crucial part of this whole lesson, Ria, moving beyond I did.
Yes, this is the next level of weekend storytelling. If every sentence is I did this, I did that, I did the other thing, it gets repetitive. We need to talk about how we felt, what we saw, and what we thought.
Exactly. Instead of just, I went to the cinema, try adding details. I saw a really unexpected and moving French film at the cinema. I thought it was brilliant, even though the popcorn was a little stale. Now you've given an opinion, an emotion, and a detail.
And speaking of emotions, we need to master the adjectives for describing feelings in the past. Instead of just, it was good, we need more variety.
Give us some winners, Ria.
All right. Instead of, it was fun, try, it was absolutely delightful, or it was hilarious, or it was exhausting but worth it. If you had a terrible weekend, you can say, it was a complete disaster, or I felt quite overwhelmed. Use strong adjectives.
That makes the whole story much more relatable. I had one of those exhausting but worth it weekends recently. I spent Saturday assembling a huge bookshelf. It was the most confusing thing I have ever tried to put together. I was sweating and almost gave up, but when it was finished, I felt a huge sense of accomplishment.
I love that story. You use the simple past, the continuous, and you introduce the past perfect in there too. I have ever tried. Let's take a little detour and talk about the past perfect. Because sometimes you need to talk about an action that happened before another action in the past.
The past perfect. Had plus past participle. It's the past of the past. For example, when I arrived at the party, most of the guests had already left. The leaving happened before your arrival.
It's so useful for clarifying a sequence of events. If you went to a movie and you're explaining why you were late, you might say, I couldn't find my keys because I had left them at my friend's house the day before. Had left happened first, then the inability to find them. It's a sign of advanced storytelling.
But I would say for an everyday casual weekend summary, don't feel like you must use the past perfect. Keep it simple first. Master the simple past. Only bring in the past continuous and the past perfect when you genuinely need them to make the story clearer or more engaging.
That's excellent advice. Don't overcomplicate it. The main goal is connection. Now, let's talk about a mistake that many learners make, Tom, and that's the use of I did nothing.
Ah, the dreaded I did nothing. It's a literal translation of a phrase that might be common in another language, but in English, it sounds abrupt and sometimes a little bit dismissive. Even if you were completely inactive, you did something.
Precisely. Even a restful weekend needs to be described with detail. Instead of I did nothing, try my weekend was incredibly relaxing. Or I spent the whole time recharging. Or I had a very lazy weekend.
And then you can fill in the details. I had a very lazy weekend. I slept in late both days, I watched 3 episodes of a new series, and I didn't leave my apartment. It was exactly what I needed. See? You did 5 things, even though you were being lazy.
That sounds like my ideal weekend, Tom. The beauty of English is that it allows you to express nuance. I did nothing is just not nuanced enough for a friendly conversation. People want to hear about your experience.
Now, let's look at the other side of the conversation, asking about the weekend, because a great conversation is a two-way street.
You need to be able to ask a good follow-up question. Don't just stick with, "How was your weekend?" It's a little bit generic.
Exactly. If someone says, "I went hiking in the mountains," you can follow up with, "Oh, that sounds lovely. Did you see any interesting wildlife?" Simple past question. Or, "Wow, was the weather good when you were up there?" Past continuous used in the question.
If they mention a new restaurant, you can ask, "What kind of food did they serve?" If they mention meeting friends, "How long have you known them?" Bring in the present perfect there to ask about their history. This shows you're actually listening, which is the most important part of any conversation.
Listening is key, and using these different tenses in your questions shows a sophisticated understanding of English. It's not just about producing the language, it's about responding to it naturally.
Tom, let's do a quick role play. You be the person describing your weekend, and I'll ask follow-up questions, focusing on variety.
Sounds fun. Okay, I had a really busy weekend. On Friday night, I went to a comedy show with my sister. The comedian was telling some absolutely terrible jokes, but we laughed anyway because the whole experience was just so silly. And then on Saturday, I baked a massive chocolate cake for a friend's birthday.
That sounds nice, Tom. First of all, who was the comedian? Had you seen him perform before, or was this your first time?
Good questions. No, I hadn't seen him before. It was a brand new act. And the comedy show was in a tiny, crowded venue. It was raining outside, but inside, everyone was having a great time.
That sets the scene perfectly. And the cake, a massive chocolate cake. How long did it take you to bake it? Were you listening to music while you were doing it?
It took me almost 4 hours, I think. And yes, I was listening to a lot of 80s pop music. I was trying to concentrate, but I kept singing along, so I almost burned the first batch of frosting.
See how natural that was, listeners? We use the past simple for the main actions, went, baked, took. The past continuous to describe the atmosphere and parallel actions, was telling, was raining, was having, was listening, and the past perfect to ask about prior experience, had you seen. Let's pause for a moment and talk about one more thing that really elevates your storytelling, using time expressions. These help orient your listener.
The signposts of your story. Instead of just saying a sequence of facts, you use words like on Friday night, the next morning, later that afternoon, finally, the following day.
These small phrases are like the chapters of your story. They create a clear structure. For example, first, I went shopping. Later that day, I met my brother for coffee. The next morning, I slept in. Finally, I spent the evening watching the sunset. So much clearer than just listing 4 actions.
And they are also excellent conversation fillers. If you need a second to think of the next verb, you can say, let me think. Later that afternoon, what did I do? Oh yes, I took the dog for a very long walk. It buys you time.
That's a great tip for fluency, Tom. Fluency isn't about speaking fast. It's about not having long, awkward pauses. These little phrases help you keep the momentum.
So, to bring it all together, let's quickly summarize the master plan for talking about your weekend.
Step 1, start with a simple, honest summary. Instead of a long list, give a short, high-level answer. It was great. I had a very active weekend. Or It was quiet, but I really needed the rest.
Step 2, use the past simple for your main actions. Focus on those key irregular verbs. I went, I ate, I saw, I read. Keep it direct.
Step 3, use the past continuous to set the scene or talk about parallel actions. Use was, were, plus ing. The sun was shining and I was walking along the beach.
Step 4, add detail and emotion. Go beyond "it was good." Use stronger adjectives and talk about what you thought and felt. I felt disappointed that the movie was over so quickly.
Step 5, use time expressions to guide your listener. Later that day. Finally, on Sunday morning.
Step 6, be ready to ask great follow-up questions. Show genuine interest in the other person's story.
The real secret, though, isn't grammar. It's courage. Every time you open your mouth to talk about your weekend, you are taking a risk. You might make a mistake. But that risk is how you learn.
I remember when I was learning a new language, I would rehearse my weekend story in my head on Sunday night, just 2 or 3 key sentences. It gave me the confidence to start the conversation on Monday morning. Don't be afraid to prepare a little.
And most importantly, remember that native speakers make mistakes all the time. We use the wrong tense, we correct ourselves, we use slang. The goal is communication, not perfection. If someone understands the main idea of your weekend, you have succeeded.
So listeners, we encourage you this week to actually prepare a short 3-sentence summary of your next weekend. Use one simple past verb, one past continuous phrase, and one strong adjective. Write it down, say it out loud, and be ready for that Monday morning question.
It's all about building muscle memory, not just brain knowledge. You have to practice telling the story out loud. English is a voice. It's a tool for connecting.
And mastering past tense storytelling is one of the most powerful connections you can make. It says, I want to share my life with you.
Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep sharing your stories. We are so proud of the work you are doing.
Thank you for joining us on Real English Voices. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye for now.